If you think Ohio State's current run in the 2024 CFP is crazy, we must remember what they did a decade ago. Back in 2014, the first year of the four-team college football playoff, moving on from the former BCS system, the Buckeyes defied all odds. After the country didn't believe OSU deserved to be in the Final Four, they won a national championship with an unlikely star, their third-string quarterback, which was nearly impossible. Has any other team persevered through circumstances like these to win a natty in the history of college football? The answer is no. Whether you forgot about this magical season or want to relive it, today I'm telling the roller coaster story of the first ever Cinderella team in the college football playoff era. Before we get started, I want you to go in the comments and tell me your favorite memory from this 2014 squad. If you love college football, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss out on another upload just like this. Ohio State was ranked number 5 in the 2014 preseason poll released on August 17th. They had high hopes for obvious reasons. One of them was star quarterback Braxton Miller. In year 3 of Coach Urban Meyer, who already had 2 national championships under his belt during his time at Florida, the Buckeyes were preseason favorites to win the Big Ten and contend for a national championship. But disaster struck only 2 days after the polls came out, when it was announced that Braxton Miller suffered a season-ending shoulder injury during practice. With their Heisman-caliber quarterback sidelined, the hype for the team began to die down, and many experts wrote off Ohio State before the season even began. Enter redshirt freshman backup JT Barrett. Despite his inexperience, Barrett quickly showed promise, throwing for 2 touchdowns on efficient passing and rushing in Game 1 of the season against Navy. However, after week 2, it looked like Ohio State's season was officially over. An unranked Virginia Tech walked into the shoe and dominated the game. The Hokies won 35-21, and their defense made the Buckeyes' offense look silly, and Barrett's inexperience was on display, throwing for 9 of 29 passing and 3 big interceptions. The repercussions: OSU got knocked all the way down to number 22 in the rankings, and this game would leave a permanent stain on their resume, haunting them for the rest of the season. So how did the Buckeyes recover from a disastrous early season loss to keep their playoff hopes alive? The Virginia Tech loss did expose glaring weaknesses, but it was a wake-up call. Urban Meyer and the Buckeyes completely regrouped, tweaking their offensive schemes and leaning more on their running game with Ezekiel Elliott. Barrett grew into his role, looking more comfortable each game, with the numbers and wins quickly following. Ranked victories over Michigan State and Minnesota showcased the team's growth. In the early November game against MSU, Barrett led the charge, throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns while adding another 86 on the ground. The following week, the Buckeyes battled freezing temperatures and a tough Minnesota team, grinding out a 31-24 win behind a clutch defensive effort and Elliott's big runs. The Buckeyes closed out the regular season with a commanding 42-28 win over Michigan, but just when things were looking up, their season took another gut-wrenching turn. JT Barrett suffered a season-ending broken ankle in the 4th quarter, leaving the Buckeyes with their third-string quarterback. Being number 5 in the CFP rankings, the Buckeyes were on the outside looking in, headed to the Big Ten championship. Their playoff aspirations were hanging on by a thread, despite an 11-1 record, with teams like Florida State and TCU ahead of them. OSU needed not just a victory in the title game, but a performance that would erase any doubts in the minds of the committee about their worthiness. And once again, they were being led by a guy who had 0 college starts in his career. Could Ohio State overcome another devastating setback? With only 1 week to prepare, Cardale Jones was thrust into the spotlight for the Big Ten title game against Wisconsin. Jones was a Cleveland native and a former 3-star recruit who had redshirted during the previous season. He had gotten limited reps during garbage time in 2014, but nothing remotely close to playing on a stage like this. What followed was nothing short of miraculous. Jones delivered a jaw-dropping performance, throwing for 257 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 59-0 all-around rout of the 13th-ranked Badgers. Ohio State's dominance not only secured the Big Ten title, but also impressed the CFP committee enough to earn the final playoff spot over Big 12 Baylor and TCU, which was controversial and deserves a whole video to itself. But how would a third-string quarterback fare against the top-ranked team in the nation. Ohio State's first playoff test was a daunting one, facing number 1 Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. The Tide were heavy favorites and also in the midst of a dynasty under Nick Saban and a roster filled with future NFL talents. Very few people gave the Buckeyes a chance. But once again, Ohio State defied expectations. Ezekiel Elliott's 85-yard touchdown run late in the fourth quarter sealed a close 42-35 win. Elliott carried the load with 2:30 on the ground, but Cardale Jones held his own against the Bama defense, completing clutch passes under pressure and using his size to extend plays. Defensively, OSU's front seven harassed Alabama quarterback Blake Sims, forcing key interceptions, including a game-changing pick six by Steve Miller. Could Ohio State complete the Cinderella run? In the national championship game, the Buckeyes would face number 2 seeded Oregon, led by Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota. The Ducks' high-octane offense had dismantled Florida State in the Rose Bowl, and many predicted they would do the same to the Buckeyes as they were favored by more than 5 points. Instead, Ohio State dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball and took over the game. Ezekiel Elliott ran absolutely wild, racking up 246 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Buckeyes forced Mariota into uncomfortable situations, including a pivotal 4th down stop early in the game that swung momentum in OSU's favor. Despite 4 turnovers, the Buckeyes maintained control thanks to the ground attack. The final score, 42-20 Bucks. Ohio State's improbable journey was complete. They had overcome adversity at every turn, from being counted out in the preseason, then after the Week 2 loss, then after the Barrett injury, then Selection Sunday, then the actual playoff games. Major credits to Urban Meyer for keeping the group glued together through anything that was thrown their way. Was this the greatest CFP run of all time? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. I've been Saturday Shenanigans, your home for unfiltered college football content, and I'll see you guys soon.